Hi everyone. Welcome to our 33rd Sovereign Finance AVC Subcommittee meeting. Hi, Clocky, Truname, Marianne, Julia, Jack, Blue, or Pipkin. Hello everyone. We're going to start our meeting for today that it's focused on support scope. We're currently on week number 6. I see. Oh yeah, great. These are the topics that we will discuss today, but we're adding some more since there has been topics that are relevant to discuss also for today's meeting that we're going to address. But just to give like a brief context prior to, we're going to go first talking about for some minutes about the scope and the proposals for these for this scope that we have been discussing internally and that we would like to receive some feedback on, and this is like an improvement of that specific proposal that you probably are going to remember, and for new people are here, we're going to give some context into this. A perfect, Marianne, thank you. And then we're going to talk also about a little bit what happened with our revenue, and then we're going to full focus entirely with the guide. I think there are many things that we can discuss after yesterday and the day before yesterday's call from LB. I think that there is like a lot of information that sometimes it's hard to swallow and hard to follow, and actually these are like the perfect time to discuss, address, share like the concerns and doubts, since sometimes what I feel is like Elvis is just so focused, concentrated, and of course it's like a different like a very hard work that he's developing. So yeah, I think that this is the moment like to address and to learn together at the same pace, or even better if there are ecosystem actors that for sure understand way more, specifically the ones that are already like drafting the documents. So yes, it was, I feel like there's like a growth from last week to this week into a little bit understanding a little bit more. So it's like, okay, today I understand a little bit more than yesterday. So I hope that we are all in that the same pace. But I just wanted to start by saying that, and just want to know if there is anything. No, good. Well, first we're gonna like for some minutes discuss about these that it's related to the scope, and this is from the forum. And well, basically this post, it's related to last year, that in what was it mentions that last year in February 2023, Fitness Lab suggested sharing profits from work done on ABB3 with the AVC community, and this sharing starts when the DAI market reaches 100 million, and this lasts for 2 years. Now, if there's anyone that has any comment on this, please bring it on the chat. And well, as you can see on the slide, it's about um the amount. So Spark DAO virtual income, it's calculated as 1% of the DAI supply by D3M, and the virtual revenue share is then determined as 10% of the Spark DAO virtual income, and the payment amount is calculated as 0.001 times the DAI supply by D3M. But this is only done when the DAI supply by D3M is greater than 100 millions. And we put here that payments are calculated using a formula based on the dye supplied. And last quarter in Q4 2023, the profit sharing amount for Abe was this amount of dye. In the post, there was also it shows the Spark risk dashboard that also gives or provides information on the current amount and estimated for monthly and yearly payments. So I'm pretty sure there are people that really understand um, this scope. I mean, this specific part of the quantities and everything. So, well, what they're saying is at the time of the post was written, the estimated annual revenue was this this amount. But of course, this can change based on market activity. And we're also putting here what it's mentioning in the post, that this payment proposal like doesn't require a governance poll because it's based on the support scope, is based on this scope, so it can be included directly in an executive vote, but pending confirmation and formal proposal by the support scope responsible facilitator. Let's see if oh okay. Now this is about regarding our proposal. And well, we are already 2024 and there is no scope advisor, and this is something that we've been um discussing it of the first time that we talk about it, and we provide proposals regarding scope advisor was like feel like 2 quarters ago. And there is nothing new about it, and it's, I don't know how you feel about this, but it's kind of concerning that there is no um update on scope advisor role. And so that's why we have we had a proposal into this, so we have made an improvement into this proposal. So in section 1.1.1.3.1, well, basically says that the support facilitators can extend the deadline for scope advisor applications by 15 days if they explain the reason why on the forum. So as you can see here, this is the improved version. So in the proposed improvement, like if the deadline for reviewing scope advisor application needs to be extended, well, the support facilitators must explain like the reason behind it, but we are trying to be more specific, like more in detail. So what we're adding is like this. The rationale, or the justification is to include these elements. So of course the reason for the extension, so here needs to be explained why the extension it's needed. We find it necessary as well to add information or clarification needed. This brings back also what LB comments on the workshops. Is like we always need context, and we do not just need to focus on specific terms, but look like at the bigger picture, and always look like for the context. So it's we try to portray that as well in here. So that's why we put also this element that basically um you need to be very specific, like specify what um like all the info needed, or like all the clarity that you need for like everyone to understand. So that's why specify what the additional information or clarification it's required from the applicant to complete the review. And then use of extra time. So here describe how the extra time will be used for through a review. Like, okay, you need, I don't know, let's say 5 days more or 3 days more, and be like, okay, but why specifically 5 days for this? And of course, the deadline for the info. So if extra info is needed, say like they need to mention when it must be provided. So this is what we are adding, and we ask to delegates to ADs following sovereign finance and to like general ecosystem actors to do you have a thought on this and to provide us feedback into this? I don't know if there anyone who wants to comment into one of the topics that we have mentioned. If not, we are going to move on to the gate. Okay, perfect. Let's move on then. Okay, so this is what we're going to start with, but I would like to give like a brief context. I think that there's just so much going on. I mean, there has been already um two workshops this week, and also from the previous that was because LB was reviewing the documents that was sent from by the 80s. Some of them are, to my understanding, are already being named drafters, if I'm not mistaken. From here, is it Clocky, uh Julia, and True Name are already named drafters. That's, please correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, and to my understanding, it was based on this work, right? The task that they provide, and with LB's reviews, and who had done like the best tasks. Okay, they will be chosen as drafters. Okay, but so if we focus on this on the Atlas axis, well, let's go back to the moment when LB like had these assignments for align conservers regarding this data submission and analysis, and then to provide us a workshop to kind of like make us understand all how this is going to work, and all the elements that we need to understand, and all the issues, problems that we need to take into account, and provide us with the examples that the drafters made in their work. Um, so what I can mention about the like the workshops and what comes to my mind, it's about the um I like the creating all these elements that now I can recall the names, the annotation, the action tenants, these scenarios that for most of the drafters was the most complicated one. And basically the goal for this is like to make sure that each section, because there are like many sections, are they are resilient and robust, and they need to have like the focus, and they need to be aligned with maker, with the end game. And something from LB's that they mentioned on the workshop, it's about um having the clarity into differentiate annotations and action tenets. So annotations are like additional, or like no, like a supplemental, and provide context to the atlas section. and action tenets are legally enforceable guidelines for facilitator DAOs. So this kind of like, of course, focus on dictating the legal meaning of the Atlas document. That's why I was mentioning this. I remember the previous week about how important it is going to have like a legal background in your team. Um, and oh yeah, that was also important. Something that Marian from here did a comment last call, and it was also mentioned by LB during yesterday's call. So I don't know if there's anything that has recalled to you that previously, while doing the work, the data assignment was kind of like more complicated, and but I felt like, and according to the comments on the workshops, from the feedback given by LB, was that okay, now it's a little bit more clear. I specifically remember about the call from the 13th, which is the day before yesterday, and I quite it was I don't know about you, but I feel like it's way easier for me to understand when it's not just theory and it's more like having the example there as it is and then commenting on the perspective or the things that needs to be improved. So that really works for me. And I'm gonna go into very detail just in a while. Um, and okay, so this part I am putting into this slide basically because there needs to be focus on this. Like we need to discuss about these topics, not just like AVCs, like 80s, right? So that's why I recall LB mentioned about this needs to be a topic of discussion. So these are like the conversations that should we having that we should be having, and this is from the crazy wall. I was just discussing this earlier with the team about it. It in this indeed it's like the perfect term to name it because it's like way too much information. And I don't know if there's like specific point or topic that you what comes to your mind when you someone mentioned the problems that gave rise to Endgame, but something that it's stuck in my mind when like the reason why like Maker changed the structure and Maker is now in this process of Endgame. It's about like the problems that was into problems that were in like the structure because of governance, because of different roles, and that's why now there we have like new roles. And every time that it's mentioned the difference between like let's say the all maker with what now it's becoming or wants to be the goal, it's about the sub DAOs. It's something that I always like stuck on my mind because it's having like a better structure, but because whenever for example whenever Rune explains sub DAOs in like I don't know in a podcast or like in an event, it aims to experimentation. And um what I like about this idea, it's like it encouraged to failure, since if you do this in like the real world, let's say like if you do this in in the protocol in the core, this of course this is could like destroy a protocol, right? But when it comes to the sub DAOs, it's more that okay, we need of course we need more users and we need this to be more user friendly and you need to be more like accessible to different people. And okay, if you make a mistake, and it doesn't work, and it actually fails, it's okay because first of all, the core, it's there won't have like an issue, and it's gonna benefit the other subDAOs. Like, okay, that didn't work. Let's have another point of view or perspective or a strategy. And well, that is so far what I really looking forward with this. Um, and I just wanted to. Oh, I was just talking now. Yes, yes. I mean, what I always mention is that you Clocky have a really good always um you submit good documents, I've realized. So please tell us your secret. How come you understand so easily? Or oh, this is also brings something else that I wanted to discuss about so the calls are necessary. I think we can all agree on that. I mean the workshops with LB. Again, I feel like I'm learning every day, and like understanding more, and even having more questions that I think that it's necessary. Um, but and we were actually discussing this internally, is that it's way too much. I don't know how you feel it, but having an hour and a half or 2 hours of these. Uh, like deeply concepts nonstop, um it's not like easy to follow. So or at least that's my perspective. And I know that it's hard work, and the fact that LB has to do it by themselves, like all of these, and come up with all of this incredible um like say world. It's just unbelievable. But yes, I for example, what it the problem, and I think that this is the perfect moment to discuss it, like to maybe um the 80s can provide us like a tip or something. It's um how do you deal with the fact to be focused for 2 hours and to really like to follow the explanation, that it's not like sometimes it's our topics are very very specific, that are, you know, hard to it's not the same like being focused the first 30 first hour, 30 minutes, or first hour, and then like okay, after a while it's more complicated. So because of this, I think that um having everyday calls that are an hour, I don't know what you guys think, but oh, definitely. That is for sure, Blue. Taking notes. I think that no one would remember if they did not take notes. We definitely need to take notes. But yeah, that's a really good. I hope that everyone really takes notes. Um because yeah, yes. Actually we feel like we're in university again. Don't you feel like it? It's like okay, you're learning like new concepts and everything. So yes. I think we all feel like that. I mean, in general, um, so you always learn every day. Um, oh yeah, I would like to read Julie's perspective, but yes, this is what also come to my mind. Like, I don't know what you all think, but having every day an hour or an hour and a half. But of course, this is according to Elvis' schedule as well, because I mean, he's or they are the one that are the only ones that are reviewing all the drafters document. Um, and I could read some of them. Like I agree with you, Clocky, what you said about um just by okay, but the feedback that Elby's given all of you, it makes you understand way more. So it does help. Say I try to design a guide on how to do the actual work just to myself, communicating it, and that format helps me. It helps me. Oh, that is. Good. This is good. Okay. Also, of course, this all of these calls that has happened so far are aimed, of course, to drafters, and what I want to believe if once is more addressed to the reviewers, it's gonna be like, okay, now it's our turn. But so far, I feel like we all need to have a perspective how to and to have an idea of be drafters or what to take into account, what is right or wrong. So yes, um, I think we're all doing the same thing. In the AVC, we open a drive to them and information review it when we have doubts. Back to my student days. Yes, actually, Marianne, he um share with us a document. It's more like I like to call it like a glossary that it's also kind of like here in one of the slides I add some of them because it is necessary. It's like, okay, that's now we have Martin's perspective into this. Do I have the same perspective as him? And do we both have the same perspective as what like LB is creating? Um do we like align our definitions? Do we understand the same? So yeah, that's what we are working on internally. Um and of course it helps a lot that we have lawyers in the AVC. So yeah, that's a very big plus. Um that's why I think that what we're talking about is the second point. That's how design aspects, structures, incentives, and to solve problems. Because yeah, this is something that as well we discuss. Is like, I mean, yeah, I think that I've mentioned this quite a lot. We have here, right, like Marian and Pedro. That's not secret. Um. So oh my god, I lost track. Okay, what I was saying it's that uh yeah, it's actually awesome. It's awesome. Uh, just a minute. Okay, yeah, I remember. Okay, something else that we were discussing, it's the fact that right now it's okay, it might be a little bit frustrated because we are like again started again. Remember, um a few weeks ago we were working on spheres and we were kind of like, okay, well now we have a dynamic, and now it's like that has postponed a little bit as ecosystem team mentioned that it's gonna work later, like next month. And so I think that this big no little steps works a lot, and I like a term, I think I have it here, um, or not, but this is like learning um collectively, if I'm not mistaken, and it's because yes, it's good. Moving on the other part that it's about subjective and objective, and I can tell that I could attend, or well, I could read Refi's chat and Keys ABC's chat that I recommend everyone to read. Actually, today's call, I mean today's text call, it was I mean a very interesting discussion into um if what I don't know if Monopolic is here, but if it's here, it was very interesting to. I don't see them now. Okay, but basically, so Kids ABC they all send a proposal, and of course, when you send a proposal, you ask for feedback from everyone, including your delegates, and well, they receive no more feedback, and they all assume that it was okay, so they send it, and once delegates were voting, Republica vote no. And so there was this kind of like discussion of, okay, is this action misaligned or not? What is interesting, and the reason why I'm sharing this is because Republica mentioned it's that they changed their mind because of one of Elvis' worship. So what they understood previously now has changed. And so that's why they couldn't like mention it previously, or they have like a just a different opinion now. And so that makes me okay, this specific situation can happen again. Like once we learn and I understand more and are aligned, because I bet that while you are drafting the documents, that's what I said. I mean, if you read the chat, and I recommend you to read, it was Monopolicus is like it was after Elvis explanation into what misalignment is, and I think I recall it was related to a specific example that was given that was made by Julia with the AVC misalignment. It was so if I'm misunderstanding, please go ahead and let me know. I think that's why we're here. But the point is that this is gonna happen. Like we're going to probably have a different perspective once we are more aligned with what it's it wants to be the next generation atlas. Yeah, but I would like to know if anybody else anybody else have a thought on this or was following the chat. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. Yeah. I mean, there has not made a decision yet. I mean, by the AVC members. They're going to consult the facilitator or wizard. Bringing back to the point, it's about subjectivity and objectivity, and it was okay. Does this action, is it misaligned? What do you consider it is like? Is it really misaligned? The fact that of course we need to take into account everything. I feel like maybe there's need more information that I was not aware of, and and this was just today, guys. So um I literally just read it once. But it could happen again. I mean, this is to any AVC, so that's why it was important, and also because of it talks about misalignment and talks about yeah. Okay, there it is. So yes, if anybody else wants to share their perspective into this, we have created this thread. Now, something that it's very LB mentioned that we should also focus on a lot, and this has been mentioned and has been discussed a bit in the forum lately, and in some of the AVC calls, it's about the what is alignment. We also talked a little bit about this in the last week, but based on the effects posts. And I think that it is before going into this, it's good to mention I don't know if all of you have read Raphael from Stable Up post about intent that also LB mentioned in during the call. So basically here we're just quoting into this. And I don't know if everyone has shared their in perspective into this part, but it is important to discuss it. So what basically it's mentioned into here, it's about how everything it's when you mention alignment, it needs to be flexible. You cannot be too strict because then it just leads to not have that specific like freedom to decide your on your own opinion. So I'm just gonna read this. It is never and should never be linear and orthodoxa. That means that true alignment happens in the face of constant criticism, part in the fire of testing all its assumption to the very core. The more free the market of idea is, the better the outcomes. Yet there is the spirit of the atlas which we should work towards, and examples such as filibustering and general attempts to flood communication channels with noise have proven to be deadly attacks on institutions with far more resources than make it out. In my opinion, it is about intent, what it is informing an action. If unintentions are malicious, even seemingly aligned actions can ultimately lead to great detriment. If intentions are genuine, then even a misalignment will be just a teaching moment for all. But we cannot generally measure intentions in a way that we would substitute for a proof. So this is also like another issue in here, right? That okay, uh what if like for me it's misaligned, for you it's not misaligned? How do we measure that? So this is a good point. But to finish the comment, which is what leads us back to spark or goodwill. Ultimately, Maker will thrive or perish with the amount of honest goodwill and spark the community can muster. There are no shortcuts or substitutes. Maker facilitators should do all they can to research how this flame can be nourished and how this spark can be preserved. I think there would be more concrete step I could offer, but in the very abstract, I don't think it's possible. So this was also a comment to the post to GFS Labs as well, and so they were like discussing this is what really it's aligned or misaligned. So I don't think we are in the point where we can all agree that one specific action is aligned. That's yet. But that's the goal. I think that once we all understand what really is aligned with the atlas and what really is not just to your perspective or my perspective, but objectively, that's when we're gonna be like, okay, now we get it. The question is how can we get there? Like how can all, or at least, you know, ADs and AVC members and facilitators, the ones that really have uh, roles, active roles in governance, be aligning to this. So this is a very interesting discussion that we're also having internally, and that's why we're also sharing into this, basing as well to some forum posts. I don't know if there's anyone that wants to add in something into this. I don't know if I see that also Pedro's writing, it's typing, and this is the best way to like to share um solutions, but more than solutions, just ideas. Just okay, this is what we're doing. Is there anything that you are doing in order to understand way better? And I know that me like drafting the documents, I for sure know that's making you understand faster. That's why I what Clocky mentioned that with LB feedback, it just I just helps me way more. And um yeah, and well, that, and also please remember that it's not this exactly the same, the task that we're doing. I mean the task for the drafters and reviewers, but let's not forget, I like to mention it, let's not forget that months ago it was kind of like similar. Facilitators and ADs has this task of also creating or drafting documents, and then they were reviewed by room themselves. So um, I want to believe that they also, I mean, that exercise of course helped a lot. Oh well, this is kind of like my point with what I mentioned earlier. It was to give examples of subjectivity and objectivity. And I think there was also it's gonna be very difficult to really define something as, okay, this is from your point of view, or something that from LB's workshop that it seems that I kept in, like it's stuck in my mind. It's okay, and the example that they give when talking about just, okay, if you talk to your close ones, to your friends, um to your partner about a problem you have, they're never going to be objective because they're always going to have to deal with the fact that it's you, and that it's always going to be feelings involved, emotions involved, and that is not objectivity, right? That is what we need to avoid whenever we are like making a decision, whenever we are creating even scenarios. um what is really aligned or misaligned? It's um one that was really funny is that that's why there is, I mean, there are counselors and therapists and they get paid a lot. It's because, okay, if you tell, I mean, you, of course you can tell your problems to your close friends, but they're not gonna be, it's not gonna be the same as just they're gonna take into account that it's you. I want to read Marin's comment. What if the widely accepted spirit of the atlas undergoes a significant change, adapting to new realities, and the mechanisms provided for in the protocol are implemented to address certain issues that don't necessarily contradict the spirit of the atlas, or operate within the bounds of interpretation? Would the behavior of the entire community that accepts small changes be misaligned? Oh, thank you for bringing this up. I really would like to know about this small change. So please go ahead and tell us your opinion into these. Doug says no, because alignment is towards maker, not the atlas document specifically. Interesting. If token holders approve it, it can't be misaligned. This is a very interesting scenario to make it as example. But anyone else have a thought on this? It's actually very interesting. A lot of um yeah, a lot of you are working on examples of subjectivity and objectivity. I think that any specific example that would help into this. I mean, apart from the ones that Ellie mentioned during the workshops. Okay. Okay. And then this also has been already discussed, but there hasn't been also like a final saying into this. Oh, perfect. I see the debate is going on. Perfect. Is your name here? Yes, your name is here, right? I saw them earlier. So this one, yeah. So this is from True Names. Comment on AD neutrality, and basically, when you are way too strict or when you criticize, it's how you give your opinion. And again, if you bring on um or you let your emotions, your feelings get to you, that of course is not going to be neutral, right? um I think on residency they were also discussing this, but there were not like an agreement. There was just all ideas, but that's the point. I think that sharing their thoughts when it comes to uh 80 neutrality, and what is 80 neutrality for you. So according to this post, um neutrality is about ideas and actions, avoid misunderstanding and examine context. And again, I think this yeah, if we linked with the comment from LB about never forget about context, and even if you have an element and like a specific term, it's never about that term. But it's the whole context. So Trinem says expressing our personal opinions like we don't agree versus giving information to others so they can form their own opinions. And then from residency AVC member Abby says, we found that the AD neutrality discussions can get fairly heated when you get into individuals. Much of it ties into how people communicate, how this is perceived. So yeah. Okay, so Jack has comment. I'm gonna read it. Good comments are able to evolve over time. Actually, yes, that's what we're doing. We're supposed to improve the atlas. So yeah, it if it couldn't change, that's our role. That's why previously it was just ADs and AVC. Sorry, ADs and facilitators, and now we're adding also AVC members to contribute to the gate. That's why actually this is all about all this discussion. But yes. Okay, and in here it was really interesting, and I don't know if it worked. Again, I think I'm saying this again, but it worked very well for me when LB was um commenting on a specific documents from the 80s. So we know is like the good and the bad of the document, the bad of the document. So for example, um this a specific example scenario with Julia, with Julia's also here, about self-interest. And I put it in, I want to discuss this. So like they gave two example, right? About self-interesting. Oh, this was the term I was looking for. Evolutionary learning. I think we're all on this, and let's all look at all this process as a work in progress, because nothing that we are now understanding is going to be the same tomorrow. It's actually probably going to be different. And our mindset, or that's my perspective, the mindset that we should have now is not to be like frustrated and I'm doing that to myself as well, but more like, okay, we are in that path that we want to get to, which is of course having like the best version of the atlas, and that it's going to together we're going to have like many changes, and even we're going to change our mind. That's why I was saying, or I don't know, how do you see this, or about this specifically? So, oh, I see. Good point, and interesting to address what would be the proper way to modify these trend documents without failing into resource misalignment, or how the change should produce the right establish interpretation spirit of the atlas. Document serves the community, not the other way around. If the document begins failing the community because it no longer serves as well as it should, then change the document if there's to provide structure. Uh-huh. Is there anything specific that right now you feel like it's not working in the Atlas, Jack? Or it's just in general? This example, um, they explain self-interest, and they gave this to example. So an alignment conservator who takes advantage of a lack of disability to their role makes minimum work, it continues to get paid. That would be, of course, self-interest, because they're only looking for their what is beneficial for them. But the number two as well is self-interest. And this is about an AVC member who looks their MQR, excited to learn more about governance, diving into an AVC ecosystem, collaborating with others, improving the scope. And for all of this, you're gonna make more money. And so this is as well holistic self-interest. Um, I don't know if I understood this example wrong. If I did, please go ahead and let me know. But this is the example, like both um, scenarios in which include like self-interest. But I want to know is specifically why example number two, self-interest. Is it because of this? This it means that make gonna make more money. They're gonna have more MKR, so that's why it's self-interest. Or I did not understand this specific part. Or any other example of self-interest. I think the first one for me was more clear. But yes, I don't know if there's anything else I want to comment into this. I want to say thank you to Jack, to Marianne, to Plucky as always, to Julia for providing their feedback or insights into this. We're going to have more of this because I think that this is the way also we um learn from others' perspective, and yeah, from others' point of view. And also this is the way you're helping us to upgrade or to modify or to improve the glossary that we have currently working on. So I don't know if there's something else that I should. Oh yeah, well, this is we can actually talk about this. Oh yeah, the additional guidance document. Um, yeah, well, we're going to discuss this probably next week. I think that Jack's typing, but there's anything else that you as ADs, are the ones that are drafting the documents and would like us to focus on, and actually it's gonna also help us a lot. Just let us know, and we can all like understand more of this. And so well, that, and also that probably in the upcoming weeks we're gonna have more specific role as reviewers, and the workshops are gonna be focused on more for the reviewers, well, taking that into account, that our perspective in the subcommittee meeting calls are going to be always the scope, of course, but depending on what they're asking us to do. So that will be all. I see that Jack is keep typing, but if you have any comment into this, or how we can address all this of the gate, please go ahead and share with us. There is a link to our thread to discuss about um what is your perspective or what happened to Kiss ABC and their 80. So please take a look at it, and would like to have your feedback on into that. So that will be all for today, and see you on Elvis workshop and also on our next call. Bye bye, everyone.